In previous part, we created an app named Simple Blog. Inside the app, a user can post a data, post to the blog, and he can also see the blog post over here. We used Firebase to do this, and we just simply used the database. So what we are going to do now is we're gonna enhance our app. We're gonna make it lighter, make it look better, and we're gonna add more functions to it. So functions will cover adding login and sign in, using email, Facebook, and even Google account. Then we're gonna move to add features like comments and like button, and maybe more like chat feature to it, but we'll see that later. So first thing we're gonna do is we're gonna create a register page for our app in this part. So what you need to do, you just go to your app level Gradle file and make sure you add the auth library to your inside your dependencies over here. Now make sure you do that or it won't work. And one more thing that I added was Firebase database dependency. Now rest all is previous one except for this play services. This is for Google login. Now if you have added all these three, you check this over here, then you are good to go. But you can skip the second one, which is for Google login. You can skip that for now and add it later when we will be doing the Google sign in. So right now let's proceed with the authentication. So first of all, whenever user runs the app, it shows us the Simple Blog main page. Now what we want to do, if the user hasn't signed in, it shouldn't be able to go to this page. So what we are going to do in our main activity, which is this one right over here, we are going to create variable private, and it is going to be Firebase auth mauth, and one more over here, private Firebase auth dot auth state listener, and this is going to be mauth listener. All right, then I'm gonna go down here inside my onCreate method, mauth equals Firebase auth dot get instance. Now this is set. Next thing, mauth listener. Now if you remember from previous parts, you guys may already know what this is exactly. This is just to check if user has logged in or not. Now this Firebase auth here, this returns us the result. So we can say if Firebase auth dot get current user. If it returns null, that means our user is not logged in. So what we can do, we can create a new page and activity. This is going to be empty activity, and I'm going to call it, for right now, register activity. Not for right now, but yep. So activity is created. All right, what we want to do is create an intent. This is going to be register intent, but we're going to later change it to login intent. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to say login intent. So once we create our login page too, we can then simply change just the file over here, the class file. So right now we are on main activity.this register. All right, so when we will create the login page, we're going to change from this register to login. But right now we just want to send the user to register activity because right now we don't have any login activity. So login intent dot set, all right, add flags clear top, so user won't be able to go back. And lastly, start activity login intent. All right, so if you guys run the app now, run it now, you may already know that we haven't logged in yet, so this should do okay. All right, I forgot one thing. We also need to set the auth state listener for our mauth. So what you can do inside the onStart method, mauth dot add auth state listener, and our auth state listener is mauth state listener. Now what we need to do, we need to let it finish. Then one more thing we have, one more time we have to clean and run the app again. So till then, if you come down to the doc section, it is still running. That's all right. Okay, so we are in the doc section over here, and if you come down here inside our real-time database, there it is, the saved data. Now there are actually, you can see that in database we have only 2 or 3 types of methods, you can call it. One thing that you usually do is the app is running now. Yeah, you can see that app is running and we are not on the let me just clear those out, not on the main activity, but we are on the register activity over here, because this won't allow the user to access it until it's logged in. So what I was saying is, we usually use just a few things like save data to database, okay, and we retrieve it. Yeah, retrieve, we update it, and we delete it. Now these are the 4 things that you need to know about the database, and everything is done by only these 4 things. You don't need to worry about any other things. So what you can do, you can just save data, you can just retrieve it, you can update it, and you can delete it. By using these 4 things, you can create any kind of app, and we're going to see it in examples in this current app that we are working on. So what I want to do now, I'm going to go to my register activity, and let me just reduce the API version for the renderer. Till the time it's done, I'm just going to add a few things. Okay, let's just go to design view and add it quickly. First is going to be a person name. I'm going to make full width. Now just leave it like that. Then, oops, what exactly? Yeah, then we want email, because we want to register the user, and a password, and lastly a button. I really hate Android Studio when it does like this, but right, so I can't see even the buttons. Okay, so right now we have added all 4 elements. I'm going to change the text. I'm going to remove the text actually, and I'm going to give it some ID. Where's the ID? Yeah, this one is going to be name field. Don't ask again. This one is going to be email field. Then we have password field, and lastly, very obviously, register button. All right, so let's add hint for these. So your name, email, and password, and last one obviously sign up. Oops, this one is going to be the text. And then we go to our register activity, and we just quickly set edit text name field. So if you guys want, you can skip this part, email field, and because everybody knows how you set up fields and buttons. Register button. All right, name field equals edit text, find view by ID, name field, email field, all right, so pretty quick. Now the next thing that we want to do is actually we want to set on click for our register button, obviously. Dot set on click listener, new on click listener. Then once the user clicks on it, it should start up the register process. So start register. Alright, so we need to create this method. I'm gonna just undo, alt click, yeah, alt enter, create method inside our register activity. Then what we want to do, once user taps on it, it should check if first we want to retrieve the strings from all the fields. So this is going to be name, and it is going to be equal to name field dot get text dot to string and trim. Same for the email, email field dot get text dot to string and trim. And last for the password. Now next thing is actually pretty simple. We want to check if user is submitting any field empty, so that way this won't cause any errors in our in our register method. Alright, so we want to check if this is not empty and not text utils dot is empty email, and also for the password. So if any of these is not empty, only then it should proceed to the register process. Now that is pretty simple as well. All you need to do, create private Firebase auth mauth, that I'm going to call it, and you can also create auth state listener. But for this part, what we are going to do, we're going to try the things a little bit differently. So just follow me on this one. Mauth equals Firebase auth dot get instance. So once user taps on it, what it should do, mauth dot create user with email and password. Now you can see that it doesn't require any person name. And if you come down to the auth section, this actually includes a few more things than it is showing over here. I'm just gonna add a user, just a temporary one for you guys to show. Alright, so you can see that this shows the email ID, created, signed in, user ID, and nothing else. But what actually it contains is, it also contains a person name, display name, a profile picture. So those fields are not visible over here, but you can store it inside your mauth. But there is one more thing that I want to tell you guys is retrieving all the users at the same time is not possible with the Firebase authentication. So what we are going to do, instead of setting the display name and profile pic over here, we're going to create one more child to our database, and we're going to store all the users inside that as well, but not the password and email, just the name and profile pics. So even if it is accessible, they don't nobody can access the email and password. So what I'm going to do, I'm just going to type in email, password, and lastly on add on complete listener and new on complete listener. Now inside this, what we want to do, this returns the result obviously. So if task is successful, then we want to add information to our database. So what we are going to do, we're going to create private progress dialog and progress. And if you may have thought I'm going to add database as reference, but we're going to do it very soon. Let's just create a progress for our register. Alright, so progress bar is created and progress dialog, sorry. If nothing is empty, mprogress dot set text signing up. Yeah, that's good. And progress dot show. All right, if it is successful, what it should do now, this should start adding to the database. So we're going to create one more database reference, this time mdatabase. Then we come down here, mdatabase equals firebase database dot get instance dot get reference. Now you already know that get reference means to the root directory of your Firebase. Now what we are going to do exactly is, instead of storing it directly, we're going to create a new child for our users, and I'm going to call it users. All right, then what the next thing is, once the user account is created, it actually signs in as well. So once it is signed in, then it should we can retrieve the user ID as well. So this is a bit tricky, but just follow it over here. So I'm gonna do is string user ID equals mauth.get current user, that means the current logged in user, dot get UID. Now as I told you guys, if you come down to the auth section over here, this is the UID and this is the unique ID of the user, and it's added to each user, so we can retrieve it. Then what we want to do, we want to database, which is our child object in the root directory, dot child. We want to create one more child inside that, and it is going to be the user ID. All right, so this is actually created. This is a bit tricky. Now just follow me on this one. So I'm going to create one more database, database reference current user DB. Yeah, just call whatever you want, equals, and this is going to be the database. Inside that, it is going to create a new child with the name of user ID. All right, then current user DB dot child, we're going to create one more child inside that, and I'm going to call it name. All right, just with small n, and dot set value, and we're going to set the value of this one to the name provided over here. Now this will make little sense when we proceed to sign in, and I'm going to create one more, and this is going to be the image, and I'm going to set it to a string default just for right now. Let's run the app, and yeah, mprogress.dismiss once it is done. And also one more thing, you need to send the user to main activity once the sign up is finished. So let the app run, and we got our register activity. Let's open up the database, and I'm going to type in my name, so, and my email, okay, and a password, and let's hit the sign up button. Sign up started, and just keep your eyes on the database as well. Bam, new child added, users, the ID, the image, and name. But the progress bar isn't gone yet because we added the code after we actually executed the app. So what I'm going to do, mprogress dismiss, and we're going to start a new intent. So intent is going to be main intent equals new intent, and this is going to be for our register to main activity. Main intent dot add flags, clear top, and start activity main intent. Let's run the app again. Now what you will actually see is, because we are logged in, it should just send us to main page actually, so we need to create a logout button for that as well. So app is running, and this is our main page actually. So what we want to do, we want to add a logout button for our user. So as you guys remember, in our menu folder in menu file, we have created settings. I'm going to add one more. This is going to be the ID is going to be action logout, and string is going to be logout. Now come to your main activity. Inside on options item selected, I'm going to create one more if statement. Instead of the switch, you can work with switch get item ID equals r.id dot action logout. All right, so once somebody press the logout button, what it should do, log out. Now this isn't any method, we need to create it. So alt enter, create method. All right, so what it should do inside this is actually mauth dot sign out. Pretty simple, huh? But make sure that if you are using the sign out method, make sure that your mauth state listener is added, and it should verify if the user is logged in or not in the activity on start. If you won't include this, even the sign out won't work. So I'm going to run the app again and wait for it to load. I'm just going to clear the spam. Okay, so app is started. Now what we want to do, we want to say log out, and let's come down to our database, and you can see the mobile screen as well. I'm going to add in one more user. Let's just type in something very random. Now if you any of you guys are watching, if someone's name is Alice, just comment it. AlisonBurgers@gmail.com. I remember of Aladdin from this one. All right, hit the sign up, and you can see our main page is loaded and our user is here, Alice. So this is it for this part. We have successfully created the account. We have stored the user in our database. Now the next thing is we should proceed to log in, and we should proceed to enhance the app and add more features. So see you guys in the next part.